My guest is someone that Wisconsin sports fans know very well. Brad Davison, former University of Wisconsin guard on the basketball team, was there five years, right? Or was it even 6 years? It was 5 years, right?
5 years. For most people, they say it felt like 10, but 5 years is all I could squeak out of the program.
It is very rare now for a player to stay 5 or more years at one institution. Usually, someone who has been in college basketball as long as you were has been to 3 schools by now, Brad. So that's you're already a rarity, and you've only been out of college for a few years. This is crazy. I wanted to talk to you about a
The whole
couple
new world.
things. Go ahead. Sorry, I missed you.
I said absolutely. It's a whole new world now. I'm glad I was there when I was.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about your career a little bit, but more importantly, for this purpose, for a Brewers podcast, is that you had a very interesting high school teammate at Maple Grove in Minnesota, and that is Isaac Collins, who's having a ridiculous season with the Milwaukee Brewers. So I wanted to get some thoughts from you about what you remember playing alongside him on the football field. I don't think you guys. I'm not sure if you played basketball together or even baseball together, but I'll find that out. We'll find that out in a second. First of all, you are now playing overseas in Spain, and wanted to get your thoughts on where your career is at. Like what this particular league is like, if there's any context for people who are kind of trying to compare it to, pro basketball on any level. So give me your story of where you are right now.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thank you for having me. Really excited to have the conversation. Talk about Isaac. He's as good as it gets. So when we get there, but yeah, I'm about to enter my 4th season overseas. This will be my 3rd season in Spain. My first year, I was in Lithuania, and actually both my wife and I both played there. And then we transitioned to Spain, where again, both my wife and I played. We went to Spain for year 3, had a baby girl, Maya Marie, who's now 9 months. So my wife subbed out of the basketball game to sub in as super mom for a year. And now we're going into our 4th year, heading back to Spain. We'll be in the city of Alicante, Spain. And we could not be more excited to be there. European basketball is as competitive as it gets. In terms of relation to the NBA, it's a much more physical, nitty gritty, 60 to 70 point games. You don't see anyone scoring 110 to 120 points. So it's much more like a Big Ten style basketball than it is in relation to NBA. I think that's the greatest picture I could paint for you. So as someone who, like you said, was in the Big Ten for 5 years and just lived and breathed it, I feel right at home, and I love it. I love the physicality. I love the competitiveness and the opportunity to connect and develop relationships with teammates and coaches from every single spot on the globe has been incredible. So loved our first 3 years. Can't wait and looking forward to year 4.
Now, when you're painting a picture of Big Ten basketball, and I ask this with love, somebody who's very good at drawing charges probably is going to thrive in that environment, right? Or are the rules a little different, Brad?
No doubt. The rules are in play. Same as college basketball. Year 1 when I was in the league, I got lots of charges, very similar to my freshman and sophomore year. But then the longer you stick around, for some reason, the less charge calls you get to go in your favor. I don't know why that is, but year 2 and year 2 was a little more difficult, and year 3 is a big question mark on if or if not I will be sacrificing my body as much as I otherwise would. Sometimes it's not worth it. We don't get the call anymore.
Yeah. Now, is your wife, of course, played at Indiana. Is she going to get back into basketball here in Spain?
Yeah, so that is the big question mark. We're still figuring that out. Again, as my daughter gets to her 1-year birthday coming up, her life changes a little bit with, going to all solid foods, not needing mom as much to feed. This means less time commitment for mom. So we have a lot of different question marks that we will do. But yeah, I can brag a little bit about my wife. She's actually Indiana's all-time leading scorer. So she is the superstar and the basketball star of the family. So I'm hoping she gets back out there to play selfishly just so I can watch her again. So we'll see. The time will tell if she gets back out there or not.
How much, and this can even tie into watching the Milwaukee Brewers perhaps, but how much do you stay sort of keep tabs on what's going on at Wisconsin, the coaching staff there? Really any, I don't know if you were a Wisconsin sports fan or I presume a Minnesota sports fan growing up, but any of your other teams, are you able to keep track of what's going on?
Wisconsin men's basketball for sure is the one I stay up to date the most. Still very plugged in with the coaching staff and the support staff there. This is actually, I just went to practice last week, and this is officially the first year where there is not one person on the roster that I shared the locker room with. So I've officially reached that stage where no one there is now there. So, but again, I'm 4 years out. And I think for most players, like you said, with the changing landscape of college sports, that might be 1, 2, 3 years out, and there won't be anyone else in the locker room that you shared with. So yeah, at year 4, there's no one else there that I played with, but quite a few players, the Minnesota, Nolan Winter, Jack Robison, guys like that are from my neck of the woods here in Minnesota that I got the honor of helping to recruit and hosting on their visits. Still know them pretty well. So yeah, still stay really plugged in with a lot of those guys, especially the coaching staff.
Yeah, Wisconsin still has a nice Minnesota pipeline going. I'm sure you had a lot to do with that. Are there other players in this league that people might know in the Spanish league where you play, if not necessarily from Wisconsin, but just anybody from college basketball that people might know?
Yeah, so this year rosters are still being, moved around. My first game next year, I actually get to play against Gabe Kelscher, who was at Minnesota and then Iowa State. Unfortunately, knocked us out of the tournament my last year. So he's also one of my good friends. So some bad blood there, but a lot more better blood than bad blood. So yeah, it's a really high level league. I think there's been a different Big Ten players that I got to play against, whether it was in Lithuania or this league in Spain. The league that I am in is actually the second division of Spain. There's the top division of Spain, which is the top league in the entire world outside of the NBA. And the way it works is you have the top league of 16 teams, the second league of 16 teams. And each year, the bottom 2 teams move down and the top 2 teams move up. And so what you kind of have is those leagues are actually kind of like this, where the top teams of League 2 are very similar or maybe better than the bottom leagues of League 1. And so the last 3 years I've been in that second league trying to help a team promote to the top league. In that top league, you have Ethan Happ's there, Sam Decker is there, Nathan Reavers is there. So there's quite a few Badgers that are in that first league of Spain.
Awesome. That's excellent. Okay, let's go back in time to your days at Maple Grove High School in Minnesota. My understanding is that you were a very good quarterback, and I've heard that from Isaac Collins himself. He said, that guy, he could have played Division I football as a quarterback. He really feels that you were that talented. I don't know how you feel about that. I bet you think maybe that could have worked out for you. I want to know the whole story, but you guys were just football teammates, right? I don't know if you crossed over for basketball or baseball.
We were. Well, Isaac made me look good in football the 2 years that I got to play with him. But actually, I first shared a competitive space with Isaac when I was in 3rd grade. I got to play on his 4th grade basketball team. And when I was in 4th grade, I got to play on his 5th grade basketball team. So when we were really young, I got to play with Isaac. He was always 1 year older than me. And then as we got to high school sports, I was quarterback my sophomore year, and he was pretty much Mr. Do-It-All his junior and seniors for 2 years. So he was in the backfield with me at running back. He was the slot receiver. He was the punt returner. He was our strong safety. He did pretty much everything. But I got to share the football field with him for those 2 years. His sophomore year of basketball, he was on varsity with me when I was a freshman. But then he decided to just do the 2 sports of baseball and football. And then when I went into high school, I decided to do the 2 sports of basketball and football. So he probably feels similar to I do. Is I wish he would have continued to play basketball because it would have helped our case. And he probably wishes I would have continued to play baseball because our team would have been better there too. But unfortunately, 2 sports was the maximum that we could do at our school just because of the commitment that it took. So yeah, I got to grow up with him from a very young age, and we got to play all the way to the pinnacle, but mainly in football.
Maple Grove is not a small school. It's one of those schools that you've heard of, even if you live on this side of Wisconsin. But I'm guessing, that's just an embarrassment of riches athletically to have 2 guys like in your class. Was that normal? Was it typical to have athletics at that level, or were you guys special, do you think?
We so our 2 classes, and again, Maple Grove, like you said, it's class 6A, so it's 2,500 kids, really big school. Obviously, you have Isaac that's playing in the MLB. Another guy that was in Isaac's grade is Coyote Awasika, who's now a lineman for the Detroit Lions. We had a lot of Division I talent who now players that are playing professional basketball or professional sports elsewhere. But there's a lot of other big schools in Minnesota, and they kind of have that same story as well. So it was really competitive. So were we special? I don't know if that's the word, but we were really talented, and we had a lot of, as talented as people were, it was almost better people too. So we just had so much fun, great teammates, great coaches. And again, when I look back, high school football is like the best of the best. And I would assume Isaac would probably have that same sentiment of his story too. So yeah, great players, but even better people.
I think this might be a Wikipedia fact, so I don't know if this is true or not, that he was the first, since Joe Mauer, the first finalist for the Mr. Minnesota honor in football and in baseball. Yeah, I think that's right. That might be a made up fact, but I know that he had great success in both sports. Do you have any stories or anecdotes that sort of isolate on how good of a football player he was and how valuable he was to your team, or what kind of player he was?
Yeah, well, first of all, if I'm not mistaken, I think when he was really young, like in 3rd or 4th grade, he had a pretty significant injury that he went through that I remember all of us being like, wow, that's such a bummer for such a talented, athletic kid. And he came back from that injury and was even more of a machine. So, to just a credit to who he is, I mean, as a person to go through that, but also then athletically to bounce back and continue on this, not just to continue up, but to like come to a whole different stratosphere athletically. It was pretty impressive. But as a football player, what I envision Isaac is like he played both sides of the ball. He returned, he did everything for us. And I remember he'd get to the 3rd or 4th quarter and everyone's, subbing in on and off the field. And he would just be out there, hands on his knees or hands above his head, just trying to get a breath of wind as we just continued to ride him in everything that we did. And I mean, he was one of those players that was so good that if we wanted to run the ball, we wanted to hand it to him. And if we wanted to throw the ball, we wanted to pass to him. So unfortunately for him, he didn't get many breaks. So he was out of wind a lot and dealt with cramps and dealt with everything that could come from a physical football game, just because he was so talented that we had to put the ball in his hands. So many good stories, so many just highlight moments. And you obviously have the games, but I remember the practices and the film sessions and the sleepovers after the games and the Saturday morning McDonald's and then film sessions and all those things that they make the game moments almost seem small because we just had so much fun off the field.
Do you get a chance to watch any Brewers games? I'm sure you've caught them. I don't know if I feel like if you came to American Family Field, you could probably get yourself a ceremonial first pitch out of the deal, and then you hang out with Isaac Collins. I feel like you could pull that off.
I might have to do that. That would mean I need to stay in Milwaukee or Madison for more than a couple days just passing through to hang out. I do keep up with a lot of the Brewers games, more so now because Isaac's playing. So I don't watch very many games, but I'm checking the stats and the scores every night, every morning. My wife's side of the family, I might get myself in trouble on this podcast. My wife's side of the family, big Chicago Cubs fans.
Indiana, man. We know how that works.
So now it's like this running joke where they know I'm cheering for Isaac, but also it just pains them every time he hits a home run or gets an RBI or the Brewers win, 12, 15 games in a row, as they seem to be doing every month. So even if I'm not watching, I'm updated, not because people are happy about it, but because people are, they have to watch it and they're aware of it. So I don't watch many games. I haven't watched baseball games in a while, but I've been checking stats, and it's so much fun to watch and follow along.
That's awesome. All right, last one. Could you have been a Division I quarterback if you had decided to go the football route?
Yes, the answer is yes. My junior year, I had FCS college football offers. But my junior year, I had a lot of different high major basketball offers, and I knew I wanted to make a college decision before the fall of my senior year when football started. And I knew I wanted to play at the highest level in whatever sport I chose. And so at that time I had FCS offers for football and I had, Big Ten, ACC, SEC offers for basketball. So I made the decision to go to Wisconsin. And then my senior year, maybe this is because Isaac wasn't there anymore. So my first 2 years, it was get the ball to Isaac, run behind Coyote, a lot of play action, hand the ball off. Then my senior year, we went more into a spread, and I got to sling the ball around a little bit more. Nice. Senior year is when I started getting the interest in the offers from, Big Ten level schools and high major schools. But at that point, I was always signed, sealed and delivered to go play basketball at the University of Wisconsin. But I had the invite to walk down the street to Camp Randall if I ever wanted to make that switch over. Half of me wishes I would have, just because I love football so much, but the other half of me is I absolutely couldn't have asked for a better 5 years playing basketball at Wisconsin. But yeah, that's my story.
So we have Isaac Collins to thank for artificially lowering Brad Davison's stats as a football player.
There we go. Run with that. We can run with that.
He is Brad Davison, former Wisconsin Badger. You know him pretty well, and it's a pretty cool story. Isaac Collins has been one of the coolest stories of the Milwaukee Brewers season. Good luck with everything going on in Spain. Good luck to you, to your wife with a 9-month-old. Really appreciate you taking the time. Thank you, Brad.
You got it. Thank you for having me.